Let's go. People, the Lok Don. We're back for another Black History Month special.
Yes, we're here. How you all doing?
Good, I hope.
I hope so too.
Yeah, so Black History Month, we're speaking to black business owners, and we have another black woman business owner
Yes.
who goes by the name of Sami.
How you doing, Sammy?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for taking your time and coming out here.
Thank you for having me.
So, Sami, before we kind of tell the viewers and speak about what your company does, could we find out a little bit more about yourself? Who are you, Sami?
Very interesting question. I'm a mother of one. I have a teenage boy. I'm a sister and an auntie. I graduated from uni with business management and marketing degree. I have a master's in social work. And yeah, I'm just Sami.
And it's through your work in social work. So you have a master in social work, and you
Yes.
also work as what do you work as before you started off your business?
Okay, so my background has been varied. So I started off really as a mentor for young people. So working with young people has always been the core of what I do. And then from there, I kind of worked my way up the career ladder to project manager, to head of service. And today I'm now an entrepreneur and own my own business.
I have to give you a round of applause for that.
Thank
And you know, not just because you're an entrepreneur, but you own your own business, but also because you've actually set up a business that has a lot of positive externalities that it provides for the community. And also, I think you are an inspiration to the youth, because I think, we see a lot of famous black people who have gone into careers of acting, athletics, music, but we don't tend to see many young black women go into other professions like yourself and starting up their own business. And I think that's an inspiration. And I do feel as though we need to see more people like yourself who are doing positive things and also running your own business. So that was why I clapped. So why did you clap, the Lok?
Sure, you have to throw me under the bus. No, I clapped for the same thing. Like to, felicitation. Congratulations. That's the word in English. To congratulate you. Sorry,
you. Thank you.
on
I-
on being a young black woman entrepreneur, and yeah, that's why I clapped.
That was a good reason. So, Sami, tell us a bit more about Horizon Community Care, which is the name of the business. I don't know if you mentioned it already or if I just broke it, but yeah, tell us a bit more about your organization, what you actually do.
Sure. So Horizon Community Care is a homelessness prevention organization. We also offer mentoring and coaching for young people aged 16 to 25. So we've seen how COVID-19 has significantly impacted the young community in particular. In light of that, we developed a online mentoring and coaching program, and the aim of this is to support young people into employment. We know because of the pandemic, young people are finding it even more challenging than before to find employment. So we have this great program at the moment. It's called the Rebuild Project.
Okay, we're going to come onto the rebuild, but I just want to focus on some of the services that because I feel like like when I was reading your website, there's so many services that your organization offers. And I just want the viewers to know a bit more about that, and then definitely we'll talk more about this massive product you currently have going on, which I am very excited about to also support.
Where do I start? Wow. Well, we have various services available within Horizon Community Care. Primarily, we work with vulnerable people. That's vulnerable young people aged 16 to 25, vulnerable adults, and also older people 55 plus. Some of the services that we provide is supporting those with complex needs. We offer mediation, so where there is a breakdown in the family, we try to prevent homelessness from actually occurring, from supporting young people within the family setting before it gets to the point of them actually being homeless. We also offer another service called supported lodgings, whereby it's like a fostering service. So we look for experienced householders. Essentially, it's like a host family. If you have a spare room, then you can earn money for that spare room. And in turn, you offer support and accommodation for a vulnerable young person or adult, because we have both services. So that's supported lodgings.
That in itself is a lot of services you provide. I think when I look at your website, I'm very impressed with the way your company is set up. And I'm just very, like, I just feel like, whoa, this is a lot of work that you're actually putting in to set this up. And I know you've got a business partner that also helps out, but I think the fact that both of you are young and you're putting so much work and dedication into this, that's why I didn't want to undersell the whole vision of what you're bringing, because it's so impressive. Let's talk about homelessness very quickly, because homeless is on the rise, and in 2019 there was an estimated 320,000 people homeless in the UK. And of course, this is an estimated figure. It's very difficult to truly work out how many people are actually homeless. You know, the local authorities provide like a evidence-based estimate every year of the number of people that are sleeping rough in their area. And I think it's very good we have an expert like yourself here with us, Sami. And I just want to first start off by trying to understand what homeless actually mean. What would you say homeless actually mean?
So homelessness is a very broad and complex social issue, and you get very different types of homelessness. When we look at those stats, I don't think that actually is a true representation, because there's loads of people that are actually sofa surfing, so whereby they don't have anywhere to live and they're living with a friend or relative and they're going from couch to couch. So those stats that you've quoted, I don't necessarily think is reflective of the true figure. Homelessness occurs for various reasons. We've seen the rise of mental health issues being a very significant factor. If you even take in light what's happened with the pandemic, we know that mental health illness issues have risen. If you also look at substance misuse, domestic violence, young people are coming from backgrounds where there's not a strong father figure. I'm not always saying that single parents, don't do their best. I mean, I'm a single parent myself. But these factors can all contribute to added strain on the family unit, and then they can contribute to homelessness. So there's various factors. I don't think there's one specific answer to say why is there homelessness. I just feel that it is an issue that is very significant. It's growing, and amongst young people as well. I think being young is a challenge within itself. Being young and homeless presents further barriers for young people to overcome.
So we've heard what the expert thinks about what being homeless means and why it is an issue, or how people become homeless. The Lok, what do you think about? What does homeless? When you think of the term homeless, what do you think that means, and how do you think they're counting those figures? But what do you think it means? I think first and foremost.
What to me?
Yeah, to being homeless.
I've been in a similar situation. You know, when you said couch surfing, I think we've had this discussion before recording. I'll say, yeah. I was just saying that I've been through that situation of couch surfing, ex-military, just left the army, was out the country for a long time, you know, didn't know like how life was back here in the UK, you know, and I found myself in a situation where, you know, I didn't have a place to live because I come back where I grew up, you know, I grew up with my uncle. He had 5 kids. By the time I come back, he had kids. I had no room. You understand? So I found myself in a situation.
Wait, he had 5 kids by the time you came back.
Yeah, yeah.
So he had no kids by
Yeah.
the time when you left.
No, when I left, he had 1 child, but I wasn't really at home anyways.
How
Hold
long
tight,
was he
uncle.
gone for?
Like a few years,
Okay.
like long time. Like, you know, it was at least a good 8 years.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you think I went out the house? I came back. Whoa!
That's what I say. Well, I mean,
Oh gosh, no, it wasn't like that. People probably it's
Well,
my
5
bad. Did you understand it that way as well?
I was just
I left
curious
the
to
house
know
and-
how long.
Okay.
I mean, 5 in 8 years. Come on, uncle. What's going on? I
you,
thought,
you know, it was cold. Every winter was cold.
well, there was 8 winters. Yeah, well, go on,
Yeah.
bro.
So yeah, I had nowhere to stay, and yeah, I found myself couch surfing. You know, families' houses. You know, I think it was more families because obviously you didn't want to disturb your close friends because you don't want them to see you a certain way. And on top of that, I had the money to get a place, but I didn't have the reference. Do you understand? This reference thing was such a big thing, you know. So homelessness to me can mean like that's what it means to me. Various things like couch surfing and rough sleeping and all kinds of things. You know, but I've been through it.
So there's one thing I don't want to miss out of what you said, actually. The fact that you just came out of the military serving, putting your life to service your country, and then after you've left the military,
Yeah.
you couldn't find accommodation. I think, to me, that there's a problem there with the system, that our veterans or those who are men and women cannot find an accommodation after
that
they
was a big
finish
problem. That was a
servicing.
big problem. Like, and I think they didn't hindsight, as they say, they didn't see it, look ahead, you know. And that's why I always try and tell people who's joining the army or anything like that, you know, there's life after the army, but the army, what it does is it blocks you of that life. Do you understand? And at the in the end, when it's time to leave, they just throw you out, basically. Do you understand? They literally throw you out because they don't prepare to have a system where they can prepare to make sure you're in good housing. Like, you shouldn't be on no waiting list or anything. You should be straight in a housing, like permanent lease, no temporary, no nothing, like boom, you know. And they've got the power to do so. But unfortunately, yeah, I found myself, as many others, you know, like I think there's loads of testimonies of in the streets, soldiers rough sleeping, you know what I'm saying? They can say, you know, unless they got, especially even the worst thing is some of us don't even have an addiction. Do you know what I'm saying? No drug addiction, no nothing. And you're finding yourself in the streets. And that messes with your mental health because you think, wait, am I worth nothing? Do you understand what I'm saying? And yeah.
I think many people would agree with you that if a serviceman has finished their service, they should be given accommodation at the very least.
Especially in the Western, you know, in the Western country where they say that we're so developed, you know, we're so advanced, you know, we should be able to provide the least for people who's fought in the front line for our country, who's, you know, even if some, because I've been lucky and unlucky enough to fight, to be in the front line, you know. But even if just being through that military training, you know, anybody that's been through that military training, the basic training and stuff like that, knows that it's a training where they mentally break you to try to rebuild you. But what about the people who's been mentally broken and they never been rebuilt? Now, when they finish that service, you've thrown them back out to society, and it's a lot to cope with.
And I think you've touched on something very important there, because it's not just about having the accommodation as well, but it's actually having the support. I can only imagine psychologically what you would have gone through when you were serving in the army. perhaps even issues of trauma, and to come back home and find yourself in a situation where you have no accommodation, perhaps no one to talk to, that can be a very traumatic and isolating experience. And I think this is why it is key that there are providers out there that can support people with not just accommodation, but also the support, so that we can build our lives and carry on and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had people like your business around, you know, because not only that, what you represent, but it's almost looking across the room, across the table. I see people that look like me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in a sense where, you know, you look like me, and if I explain to you what I'm going through, you know, you'll understand already of who we are. You know what I'm saying? And then understand as well of what we're going through, as in like in the army, of what people that look like you are going through via me transferring that to you. Do you understand? So it would have been nice, but it's better late than never sometimes, isn't it? Maybe
Yeah, at
you can
least
help
it's
the
here.
future.
At least it's here, and at least it's no, not just the future, the current, the
Yeah,
present.
the future and the current, you know, black soldiers that are out there, and I really wish that you can, you know, broaden into the military and reach out to them and help out a lot of people that I think that definitely gonna need that, because it's real.
Well, there was a second thing you actually said there too. You mentioned that one of the problems you had, you couldn't get references and things like that. And actually, I feel like that's another problem that don't get spoken of a lot, which is that when that there's a racism in the whole renting of accommodation within the UK. And the reason why I say that is because when you're black, there are loads of what do they call it? You're a tenant. There are loads of homeowners who do not want to rent out their properties to black people, and of course that's a problem. And I'm not just saying this because of myth. I'm saying it because I know people that have experienced that, you know, and people that have been told that, you know, like after a while, somebody who's very close to me was getting rejected so many times, and they went to the estate agent like, what's going on? Like, why is it that you keep asking for my ethnicity? Everywhere I go, ask for my ethnicity, and when I tell them, they don't come back to me. And then the other person was a guy that was talking to this person, and he was like, nah, there's nothing wrong with it. But afterwards, he clocked, and he's like, actually, you know what? You're right. There seems to be a bias. I don't actually know why we're asking for your ethnicity. And when we do find out your ethnicity, the homeowners don't want to go through with the deal. So there's a problem with black people finding accommodation just because they're black. And perhaps you may have experienced that, not knowing
Yeah, not
that
knowing.
you was
Yeah,
also
definitely not
experiencing
knowing.
that.
Definitely not knowing.
But coming back to your organization.
Actually, sorry.
Yeah, go on.
There was a point that I forgot to touch on when I left the army. Obviously I had nowhere to live. I went to the council, my local council, and like I said, this thing will always be on my mind. Like, it will never leave my mind. And you know, it's the truth of what really happened to me. You know, and they said to me like, oh, unless you're pregnant, gay, you know. Shout out to the LGBT and people.
LGBTQ.
Yeah, LGBTQ people,
community.
you know, community. All have AIDS, HIV or AIDS. They can help me. Do you understand? That was like a big slap in the face. Like, what?
So they said you either have to have AIDS,
Yeah,
or be gay,
yeah,
or be pregnant.
yeah.
Okay.
I think there's something around local authorities having to have a high threshold, because the need is so prevalent. If everybody was to come to the local authority and present as homeless, we know there's not enough accommodation to go around. So what local authorities tend to do is have a threshold, and if you don't meet that threshold, then you're
But
not
we need to
eligible
have.
for housing.
But watch this though. You know, when you're at the airport,
Mhm.
yeah, every citizen go through normal, right? Do you know that the diplomats go through a different way, and there's loads of diplomats. Yeah. So just like I said, like someone who served for this country, do you understand what I'm saying? Fought in the front line for your country. Yeah. There should be a diplomat red carpet
There,
at every, you know.
there's definitely an injustice, and
Yeah,
I think just being black in general always presents
that
barriers,
too.
whether it's accommodation or whether it's getting jobs, whether it's being treated with the same equal rights as everyone else. I think being black does come with its challenges. However, I also do believe there is solutions to those challenges. And when we support one another, when we stick together, when we seek for answers, we will find the solution. And I do think that things are slowly improving. I mean, we still have a very long way to go, but I do have faith that things will change within the future.
And part of that positivity, I guess, is it resonates to how your organization is set up to help homeless people. So, how can your organization help homeless people, and what sort of people are we talking about that you generally help?
Well, let me go back to how the name Horizon Community Care even came about, because I think it's kind of self explanatory even in our name. We do believe in creating a new horizon, a bright horizon. I believe that futures can be bright and they will be bright. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to support vulnerable people and let people know whatever your complex issue is, you can come and have support. Even if you're not eligible for housing, because I should make it clear, we work in partnership with local authorities, so you can't just present and present to us as homeless and expect to get accommodation. We don't work like that. We take referrals on for local authorities, but we can also give you support and advice. We can also give you guidance on what kind of welfare benefits, for example, you could be entitled to.
You know what? So coming back to the homeless stats, I do like the way, Sami, that you mentioned how the stats are not perhaps showing the full picture, but the stats are what we have, and it shows it's representing the whole of the UK. But one thing I find interesting about it is that it says white people represent 63% of those that are homeless, and black people are 14%. And before my black people, we start to be happy at not being at the top of a negative stats for the first time. Homeless within the BAME community is rising at a much faster rate than the white community. And just to go back to my first point when I said that before we start being happy and not being at the top of a negative stats, the reason why I said that is because usually when you find negative stats from the UK's data, black people tend to be at the top, even though we only make up, let's say, 3% of the UK population. We make up the most race in the prison. We also generally have the highest crime rates, and of course we generally make up the lowest paid. So whatever negative stats you're looking at, you generally find us at the top. But on this occasion, we're not at the top. But however, like I said, according to studies I've seen online, in particular this one from Shelter, homeless within the BAME community rose 48%, whereas amongst white household, it rose 9%. I think what I would say is this data is from 2017, and overall, homeless is a problem for all communities. Homeless is on the rise. The data said that homeless was on the rise by 22%. But when you just break down the ethnicity, black people, we need to be concerned about why it is that homeless amongst our community is on the rise. It isn't actually just black people or black households that homeless is on the rise. It's also Chinese and others, mixed race households, and Asian households. So Asian households, they homeless amongst those types of households have grown up by 71%. Black households 42%, Chinese and others 35%, mixed race 33%, and as I said, white household 22%. So Sami, you know a lot more about these subjects than us. Just want to find out, why is it that homeless amongst the BAME community is rising at such an alarming rate compared to white households?
I think if we take a look at some of the social issues that are impacting the BAME community, we'll find that this is a contributive factor. I mean, black people are also more likely to be sectioned and enter mental health institutions. These kinds of social issues impact family breakdowns, causing disruptions in the home and causing that flow of movement. And again, if we look at sofa surfing, we see that perhaps one of the reasons why black people are not as high in the stats is because the stats don't take into account sofa surfing. So it could actually be they are level, but they're not actually being captured. When I look at the footfall of young people that we give advice and support to, I would say that the black community is quite prevalent, actually, of young people and vulnerable people that come to us for support.
So within your stats, what you're saying is you see black people
Yes.
at the top of needing help. So that kind of represent that, yeah, it's actually a massive issue within the black community.
Yeah, definitely. If we look at areas such as Croydon and Brent, for example, where in terms of statistics, the BAME community is quite high, we see that these are also areas of deprivation. And when you are looking at communities where people are living below the poverty line, that also is a contributive factor towards homelessness as well.
You know, I'm glad you mentioned about people living below the poverty line, because I have another stats to share with you both, you know, because, you know, stats don't lie.
But men and women do.
Okay. Now, The Guardian published a study in 2020, this year,
You like that,
basically.
Yeah, I know you do.
So The Guardian published a study earlier this year, and it looked at people that were living in poverty in the UK and people that were living in deep poverty. So the poverty line that they described was a single parent with 2 children living on £325 a week, or a couple with 2 children living on £439 a week. Look, you've got 2 kids. Well, now you've got a third one. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That's why I need my pound in yam properly, and the rest.
So if you and your family earn less than £439 a week, you would be classified as living below the poverty line. That's the threshold that they provide. You don't have to, of course, tell us how much you make. I'm sure it's millions, but you don't have to share that. But
thanks to you.
But anyway, like, there are people, of course, sadly living below this. And what the study showed was that actually there's a lot of people in the UK that are living below the poverty line, 14 million to be exact.
Jeez.
And 4.5 million are living in deep poverty.
Jeez.
And what's also concerning about the data is that when you look at how that is spread amongst ethnicity, guess who ends up being at the top?
No, I don't want to guess. Don't say it's us.
Well, this is it. Another negative stats, and surprise, surprise,
We're at the
black
top.
households are at the top. So what's actually more concerning about the data is that the percentage of households who are black that are living below the poverty line, it's almost 50%. So half of the population.
And with the smallest.
Well, yeah, we're the smallest, but the thing about this data is, we're the smallest population in the UK, but the thing about this data is saying that out of black households, out of households that where the head of the household is black, so if we add another person here, basically 2 of us would be living below the poverty line.
I think if you look at that, that's also because black people are more likely to have lower paid salaries. If you look at what we're being told in terms of COVID, we're seeing that black people are twice as likely to contract the virus and die from the virus. And that's supposed to be because we're more likely to be key workers and in positions where we're putting ourselves at risk. So we quite often find ourselves in the position where we are doing those low paid jobs, and at the same time this affects us in terms of living within poverty. And when you are living in poverty, that's when all the other social issues impact us as well.
And I must say, there are other ethnic communities that also don't fare well. You know, Asian community is 39%, and mixed ethnic groups are 32%. And the white community, even though it's lower, there's still an issue because 19% of those households still living under the poverty line. And of course, what we're saying here is just stressing that there's a massive issue within the black community living under poverty. Your organization, you are open to all communities. But of course, being based in, where are you based? Sorry?
Croydon.
You're Croydon, and that's predominantly. Yeah, and that's predominantly. Would Croydon be described as a predominantly black neighborhood?
In terms of the BAME community, it does have quite a high percentage, but Croydon is a very diverse borough. It depends on the part that you live with, because it can also be very affluent as well. So it depends on the part of Croydon you live in.
So people, if you would like to seek any of the services that Sami and organization offers, you can reach them or find out more about her services at
www.horizoncommunitycare.org.
And there's a big say it one more time for the people at the back.
So that's www.horizoncommunitycare.org.
One more time, please.
www.horizoncommunitycare.org.
Okay.
One more, please.
You just want to see my teeth. www.horizoncommunitycare.org.
Thank you very much, Sami.
And there's a massive project, Sami, that your organization is doing at the moment. I am very, very excited about this project. Can you please tell us a bit more about Project Rebuild? What a name.
I can indeed. I'm very
whole country.
passionate about this project. So Project Rebuild was actually developed in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. We saw that young people were dealing with lots of issues around anxiety, depression. You know, people couldn't go anywhere. The lockdown situation meant that young people couldn't access schools, colleges, everything, as we know, was closed. So we wanted to develop this coaching and mentoring program, which was specifically designed to support young people overcome their barriers and help them into employment. But not just employment, it goes beyond that. It's also about helping young people establish a self-confidence and a self-belief that young people can actually achieve whatever it is they want to do in life. From my experience, young people are very resilient, very hardworking, determined, and they want to be successful. Sometimes what young people do lack, however, is that support on their journey to success. So what the Project Rebuild project does is it's twofold. The first half is a 12-week project, 2 days a week. Sessions vary between 60 to 90 minutes long. It's delivered by a qualified life coach and mentor, and combined they have over 20 years experience supporting young people.
So when you say young, what do you mean by young people?
So
what's
the
age
program
group?
is for 16 to 25. So you do have to be at least 16 to be eligible to enroll onto the program.
Is it only to that age? 16
Yes,
to
it
25,
is.
not older?
We are actually funded by the European Social Fund, and it's exactly that age group that this specific program is for.
And that's a peak age group, you know. And I like what you said about that this is what the solution that young people need. It brings me back to a recent YouTube video I was watching with Dr. Umar Johnson, and big up Dr. Umar Johnson. You know, he shares loads of wise information to us. Sometimes I don't always agree with all of his views, but like I always say, he's my brother, and he educates us very well with a lot of things. But yeah, he was saying basically that in the US there's this issue with misdiagnosing black youths by the system they have over there to basically giving them medications and things like that, when all black youths needs is support. So programs like this, or basically I guess opportunities to bring out their talent. And I feel that's exactly what Project Rebuild is doing. Of course, it's not just black youths that you're focused on, but however, you know, black youths definitely could do with Project Rebuild.
And I would say, although it's not just for black people, the project was kind of built to support black people, and we are looking for at least 20 of the 30 of the young people that we are supporting to come from a BAME background. However, you know, the need of having support doesn't depend on your ethnicity at all. What the program is actually there for is to support people on their path to success. Looking really what are the barriers that are limiting that person from being where they want to be, and how we can hold ourselves to account to ensure that we get to where we want to be. So the program is twofold. The first 12 weeks is an online program delivered by the mentor and life coach. After the 12 weeks, and you must complete the 12 weeks to get on to the next stage, you have up to 5 months of support where we help each young person enter an industry of their choice. So whether that's hair and beauty, construction, finance, the private sector, fashion, we also link young people with the industry that they want to go into. Equally, we are looking for organizations to partner with where we can put young people into those industries. So the list varies.
Jeez, I wish there organizations like you were around when I was within that age group. Depending on who's asking, I may still be in that age group. But for me, I don't know about you, the Lok. Like when I was in that age group, I think that I was quite vulnerable in that sense, because there was so much I didn't know about the world, and I was always searching for just that one person just to kind of like put me in that right direction. And there's been so many countless of times where I fell off, and to be honest, if it wasn't because of maybe, well, what did they call it? You know, when someone intervened, like
A peer mentor.
you know, like when someone intervene at an important moment, important stage, like I guess you can call it intervention.
Yeah.
If it wasn't because of like a key intervention, I don't know if we would have been having this conversation. And I feel like Project Rebuild can be that key intervention for someone else.
Definitely. And from my experience, I think where I've seen young people thrive is when they have a mentor. It's not necessarily to do with this specific project, but even my son's dream is to be a professional footballer. And I think if he never had the mentor that encouraged him and made him have that self-belief that you can reach for the stars, and if you have a vision in mind and you work hard towards it, you are perfectly capable of reaching the destiny that you're trying to strive for. But the key here is having that mentor to support you on that journey. A mentor and a mentee relationship is built on trust, and a trusting relationship and someone that believes in you and encourages you can be the stepping stone of your success.
So the Lok, what was life like for you between the age of 16 and 25? Do you think this sort of project is something that could have helped you out?
Yeah, probably when I was 16, probably by the age I was The time I was 25, definitely, because that was the time when, I first came out the army, and it would have definitely helped. Like I said, this program here, I think it's the new generation of, not only like civilian, like of military personnel, especially in the, the black community. They need it, male and female, because we talk about, obviously, because we're male, we're talking about male, like, what's the word? We talk about male homelessness, but we don't talk about female homelessness, And yeah, I think they both need that kind of, But my life at that stage, I did definitely at 25.
So, like, Sammy, I was gonna say, if there's any viewers in between the age of 16 25 watching, or people that know any person between the age of 16 and 25, and may want them to join this project rebuild, how can they do that?
They can email us directly at info@horizoncommunitycare.org. That's info@horizoncommunitycare.org. One more time, I'll say it again. That's info@horizoncommunitycare.org, or go to our website www.horizoncommunitycare.org.
Jeez, yep. Or you know what? I'm gonna say something controversial. Yeah, actually, no, I will say it now. And I think basically that, when people say that the reason black youths are underperforming, or the reason black youths are turning into crime, is because of the music they're listening to. So drill gets a lot of negative press, grime gets a lot of negative press. I think it's a lack of services like Project Rebuild is why youths are turning into crime, and why black youths are underachieving. I think, in fact, what people don't realize is those music streams, grime and drill, those youths that actually start, those youths that become artists, that actually gives them an option to leave the streets behind. Do you know what I mean? And all they're actually singing about are what they're living, or what they have been living. And
or
I guess
someone that they know that's living that way.
exactly. And I guess I can understand sometimes, like some of the songs are quite explicit. However, these are real things that are going on. These are problems, you know what I mean? And the way we can address these problems is by supporting, I guess, organizations and projects like the ones that you are setting up, Sami.
Yeah. And also, music doesn't determine who you are. I think music like drill is a form of expression. And when you do see the closures of services like our youth centres and outlets for young people to go, what else can young people do but perhaps get creative and talk about and express how they feel? So this is why projects like Project Rebuild is great, because we reach out to all young people that want that extra support.
Yep. And I would just add by saying that the black community, not just the black community, all communities, we should feel an obligation to support projects like this. So I presume that you are going to need help from the wider community. You are going to need help for businesses, entrepreneurs. You are going to need their help to also get involved in your project and help these youth. So
100%. We're also looking for volunteers as well. Volunteers that can be peer mentors to other young people. The list is endless. We are looking for organizations to work in partnership with. And if you want to learn more about the organization and what we do, please refer to our website.
Yep. And I'm going to speak now to the black community. All other communities, please stand up, support. but especially the black community. I know lots of people out there who are struggling, who are starting up their own projects. They may not have made it, but at least you're doing something. So I think the fact that you're doing something, you're setting up a media service, I don't know, you're setting up something else, a online retail thing, or I don't know, or restaurant or something. Get involved, help volunteer, provide your experience, your knowledge, and I guess what you've learned so far to the next generation. We, the Lok and Don, are definitely going to sign up, aren't we, brother?
Yes, sirree. No, actually, it depends. I've got what do you call it? Clause on it.
What are your clause?
Yeah, we have to discuss that.
So you got clause in order for the Lok and Don to volunteer
yes.
and help.
Yes.
Okay.
My food have to be cooked.
Typical, isn't it? You want, in order to give, you need to receive.
She said she can hold it down with the food, with the Nigerian food. I want some Nigerian food.
He asked me to make him pounded yam, and I said no.
So people, yeah, okay, it's just you have to forgive our sense of humor, but yeah, please get involved, help drive this project. Is there anything else you want to mention for people? Now, how can actually, let's find that out. If I am a business owner or whatever, and I want to get involved, how can I get involved?
Sure, I would say contact us. The number should be on the screen below. 0207 460 7005. That's 0207 460 7005.
There you have it. UK, London, stand up, support Project Rebuild.
Yes, because we'll be supporting it.
Yes, with no clause. We will be freely supporting it, okay?
Speak for yourself. I'm eating my pounded yam and everything else. Nigerian food, go, Black history.
So the only update for this week I have to say is, big up our boy Driss for his new track, Bad Boy.
Big track.
Go ahead, listen, support, download, do
yes.
everything. Just, man's a real bad boy, innit?
Yeah, no, he's
a real bad boy.
Talented.
Yeah. The whole of his squad, they're doing bits still.
He's the future. You play me stuff is the future.
They are the future still.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, and I guess the last thing, that marketing talk, the only thing I would say is start to talk to your friends about what you're doing, because when I actually know Sami's business partner, and when me and Sami started to talk, I found out more about Project Rebuild, and I informed them that actually, you know what, the organization I work with, we've been looking for an organization like yours since June.
Okay,
So
and you hooked them up?
I've hooked them up already. I've plugged them in.
Yeah.
Corona touch.
I've plugged them in.
He can be very slow. Get it?
The contract hasn't been signed or anything yet, but it's there. It's been plugged in. It's
nice.
You know what I mean.
Make sure you sign that dotted line.
I'm confident they will, because they definitely want.
Well done.
I have to big them up too,
Well
because they are very keen on working with organizations like you, and they're very keen on supporting the black community. So I have to big them up, but of course big you up too. And it's a match made in heaven, really.
Yeah, bro. This is the second time that you're leaving. The connection slip. You know what I'm talking about.
No, I didn't leave the connection slip. I'm saying Sami's business partner didn't tell me about what they did. Mm-hmm. As soon as Sami told me about what they did, I'm like, whoa, we've been looking for you since June, and
that's why you're that connected. Guy. You see why you're that guy. That guy. You're not that guy. You're that guy. That guy.
Well, everybody is that.
It's good to talk.
Yes, it is.
There's a company that has that slogan.
Yes, BT.
Is that BT?
Hey, stop picking up companies on the lockdown. What's this? They're not sponsoring us. No,
I think
big
it's
up.
BT.
No, it's not.
Is it something
It is.
else?
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
You're right.
It's BT.
Yeah?
See?
Oh.
You're right. I think they've changed it actually.
Yeah,
now.
they have.
They have, innit?
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so people, yeah, so talk to your friends, talk to your people about what you're doing, and hopefully you'll be able to connect each other.
Yes. So guys, if you like today's content, and comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and make sure you go support Sami, on this great venture that she's already on. I'm sure she's destined for greatness, and we're gonna see more of her, and
Stand up.
yes, stand up. I hope if you know anybody in the forces, any serving member, because obviously next month it's Remembrance Day, if you know anybody in the forces, no matter what color, but especially the black community, obviously because it's Black History and it's a black business, please, shout at her. Well, not shout at her, but holla, please holla.
Contact holla.
It was also Mental Health Awareness Day, so in light of that, keep talking, keep sharing. There are providers out there like us who can help.